Thank you. Thank you for joining me tonight. The 4-1 Girl podcast is about to hit your airways. I'm your host, Callie Hunter, and I can't wait to describe some of the things I want to describe tonight. Our first podcast was a smashing success. I couldn't believe how many people actually wanted to listen to this. So we're trying a couple of these podcasts where I'm just going to talk a little bit before we start inviting some guests coming on. I'm one of those guys who spent more time on television than I have on the podcast circuit. But I'm getting it out, and I have to be honest with you. I was so encouraged by how many people actually listened to the podcast. I was actually almost blown away. Actually, I was blown away. So, if you're new to us and you didn't listen to the first podcast, basically what I do is I am at the microphone tonight and I'm giving you a word-for-word, almost verbatim conversation with somebody that I assume is the girl of my life. Now, who is the girl of my life? Let me tell you. I'm an author. Most of you, or I hope most of you, have read some of my books. And what I mean by the girl of my life, well, the girl of my life is somebody that I met 9 years ago. She's fictitious. Now, don't worry, I'm not one of those guys who lives in my parents' basement or I've never been on a date before. Okay? I have 2 children, 12 and 11. So that ends that. About 9 years ago, I started writing books. And 9 years ago, I put my heart, my soul, into the things I write. And one of the things I absolutely adore doing is writing my books. I try to do 10 book pages a day. But in every one of my books, since in the last 9 years, I've written 22 of them. There's a main character in those books. And I'm in love with her. What does that mean by being in love with her? Okay, don't turn off your podcast. Let me explain first. It's an individual who I've given my heart and soul to. Her vision is in my head. She doesn't have a face. She is just how I would treat this particular woman. Do I have what she looks like? I didn't. I think I might. Now I think I might. As I do this podcast, there's a good chance that I'm starting to get warmed up. You know, and maybe I'll have to tell you a little bit about that when it's been solidified, but I'm getting there, so to speak. But when you sit there, and most people know I'm getting my doctorate in theology, I know exactly how to treat a woman. I know what I want to say, what I do want to say, how much treating somebody spectacularly makes sense. So how was I able to judge that? How was I able to get there? Well, it took a lot of studying, a lot of psychology, and a lot of reading of my own stuff and other people's stuff. Like I said, between theology, psychology, I formulated what I want, what I'm looking for, and how to treat that person. So when I do this podcast, this podcast is for the one girl that I know is out there for me. And I'm going to give my best to tell that girl on this podcast how I feel about her and how I would treat her and so on and so forth. One of the things that I hope my audience gets out of this is that I'm coming from a place of experience. Obviously, I wouldn't be having this podcast if I was still with the mother of my children. Correct? You grow, you learn. You make mistakes. But mistakes of the past. So I'm hoping that as I do these podcasts, I can help other individuals to learn how to get from point A to B without having to go through the situations that I had. So how does this podcast help individuals? Well, it's going to help a male to learn how to treat a woman and where to go. It's going to help a female because if you're not getting a male that treats you the way I'm going to treat the person in my life, then you need to get out of it. I'm also going to teach you how to get out of there. You know, one of the things we're going to do here is we're going to do some current events, and this is just all about feelings and such. These are conversations. Conversations with, what kind of conversation would you have with a woman right now? And what would you say? Those kind of conversations that we're going to have to get to. You know, pretty soon we're going to be going on video besides the audio. And one of the things that I would like to show is having people coming in and say, all right, you know, there's some things out there, and what was out there? Well, obviously you had a couple in Florida, and 2 lives were lost. 2 lives. Terrible. I hate to say this, and I told this to somebody today, and they almost like lit into me. I said, I wish that Brian Lowry killed himself first. And they were like, oh my God. How could you say that? Easy. Because if he killed himself first, there'd be a beautiful girl still with us. There is no excuse in this world for putting your hands on a female. There is no excuse in this world to bully a female. And I know I'm going to hear all this backdrop, but let me tell you the story. There isn't a female in this world who's going to overpower me. It's easy for me to say because I'm the big guy. There isn't maybe 1/10% that actually could go against me on the male side. So how is a female going to go on that side? So in retrospect, any female that I would be with, I could be a bully to. Why would I want to do that? Why would I one time want to make a female feel that she's not comfortable with me? Let's think about that. You treat a female like she's the queen of all queens, like an angel from heaven, and you're going to bully her? You know that look you get when your significant other loves you more than anything in this world? You know when those eyes look at you? Bully her once. You'll never get those eyes again. Cheat on her once. You'll never get those eyes again. She might stay with you, but she's definitely not going to give you those eyes. That pure, unconditional love that everybody says they're looking for, well, you got to work at it. You know? And one of the things that bothers me the most is individuals will come and they'll say, you know, that's all right. I had plans to the wife or the girlfriend, the significant other, and guess what? I'm not going to go. She won't mind. Yeah, she minds. You know why she's going to mind? Because it's an expectation. Don't make expectations if you're going to break them. I have to be honest with you. I like ball games. Okay? I don't like hanging in a bar and drinking a beer and hanging out with a dude. It's not me. My family's had season tickets to the Patriots since I was knee high to a grasshopper. And you know what? The best thing about it is bringing your loved one to the game. It's a whole big family affair. Everybody's like, wow, why would you want to do that? What happens if the girl doesn't like football? Listen, you don't like football, you like a crowd, you have a beautiful tailgate, you have all kinds of good things happening, but guess what? You're with your family, you don't have to rush home to be with somebody. You work all week, you come home, there's 16 weekends for football. In the regular season, now 17 this year. You're with your family, you're with your significant other, your wife, girlfriend, fiance, what have you. You have a great time. You hold hands, you hug when it's cold, you get warm, you have laughs, you get a hot chocolate. But guess what? You get to enjoy the game, and you get to be together. Because you know what happens after those 17 weeks? You owe the rest of the 52 weeks. Those 35 weeks, you owe it to her. To do anything she wants. That's a good part about things. It's a give and take. It's a lot of give and take in a relationship. But you can make anything fun. Heck, I was talking about the other day to somebody, and I was saying about going to the mall. I could go to the mall all day long. She wants to go shopping, I could. Especially nowadays. On a Saturday? What ball game will you miss on your phone? Think about it, guys. She's going into the dressing room for an hour. Right? She's trying on anything she wants to try on. She's going in every store. Okay? You're out with her. Say it's Michigan, Ohio State. Right? You're watching the game on your phone. If you were at home, how long do you think the stretches would be where you could just watch the game? She could go into 3 stores, spend 3 hours, and the game's over. You watch the whole thing. And she thinks she's your hero because you're carrying her bags. Having a blast. Makes sense, right? Why wouldn't you go to the mall? Grab a movie, grab a pizza. Or if there's no game on or there's nothing you want to watch. Hey, honey, I'm just going to go stop at the sporting goods store. Okay. Hey, I'm going to go to the camping store. Okay. Still together, you're like 2 stores down. Makes sense, right? Makes sense to me. There's so many different ways you can do things. And I hope to God that I'm not giving away like these little secrets I have. Because if I start giving these things away, boy, I might be in trouble myself. But think about it. There's a give and take. So, that's a kind of a brief introduction to what I wanted to talk about today. And before I get what I want to talk about today. So, one of the things I said I wanted to discuss, and I put it in the journal, when you have to tell somebody, what your podcast is going to be. I started talking about blended families. What is a blended family? Well, sometimes you're getting up there in age. People married young, people are marrying older now, which I highly recommend. But if you gave it a go, you had your marriage, sometimes as you get older, you feel like, oh, this is the last chance I'm going to have to get married. So maybe you commit when you shouldn't have committed. Because you're afraid, if I don't get it done now, I may never get it done. I may never have a child. It's not an excuse to get married. Okay, say you're in that boat. Or say you got married early. And the person you're with has a child or 2. I personally now, since I have children, wouldn't want to go out with anybody who didn't have children. People are like, are you serious? Yes. Why would I want to go out with somebody who didn't have children? Who hasn't experienced the love that you have for your own children? Your family being blended. You want to be able to say, hey, look, I love my children. I can love you with all my heart and soul. That doesn't mean I don't love my children. I love my heart and soul too. You know, being with somebody who has a child, she'll know that love. She'll know that mother's love or the father's love. And that's okay. But there's some things that you need to consider before you get into the blended marriage or the blended family, so to speak. Look, if you're a guy and you're successful, or you're a female and you're successful, you can't go into a that's my son, that's my daughter type atmosphere. You have to go in there, it's all for one and one for all. The 2 musketeers, the 3 musketeers, the 5 musketeers. You have to be in there. And you know what? If you've had some success in your life, you have 5, well, guess what? Split 5 ways. 1/5 for you, 1/5 for you, 1/5 for you, 1/5 for you, 1/5 for you. Why would you want to do it any different way? Well, they have a father, or they have a mother. So what? What does it matter? I like to say you're a bonus mom or a bonus dad. You know? You're not there trying to replace their father. I mean, I know sometimes there's some real creeps or fathers, some real creeps or mothers. You know? And they might have abused their significant other. You know, that's something we'll just stress in just a little bit. You know, but if it's a father, for example, paying their child support, seeing their kids, you're not trying to take over being their father. What you're going to be is you're going to be a bonus dad. Hey, you know what? I'm a friend, but I'm a little more than a friend. I'm not your father, but I'm family. And if you need me, I'm going to be there. Listen, talk, have conversations. You know, be there. It's something that you will be looked upon by that individual. You know, it's not all about fun and games. It will be at first, you know, obviously you're trying to press the person. You're trying to, you know, give them a little taste of fun, you know, you try to get that relationship in. You don't have to coming in as a, you know, being hard ass. But discuss some things, you know. Hey, let's go to the ball game. Oh, we're going to go to the carnival. Especially if they're young. You know, smile, be silly. You know, adapt to that role. So they feel comfortable around you. They're like, hey, do you like, you know, their mom or dad says, hey, you like so-and-so? Oh, they're really cool, Mom. Or they're really cool, Dad. You know, that's something that you have to see. That's something you have to believe in. But as you grow closer, okay, like I said, you're a bonus mom. You're a bonus dad. But you're not trying to take over the father. But what you are trying to do is be there for that person. Because you're going to be a family. A blended family. But you're still going to be family nonetheless. Right? That is something I want to discuss. You know, you might fall in love with a woman or fall in love with a guy and you have your own kids and you don't want any more kids. Okay, that's great. But what are you supposed to do with their children? You're not supposed to give them all that you can be? You know? Suppose if you come from a relationship that has somebody that's had some problems. Okay, they've had some problems. So what do? Are you just going to be another problem? Or are you just going to show that child what it means to be in a relationship. A positive relationship. Because everything you do is a learning experience for a child. That child could be 12, 13, 14 years old. And you know what? If they spend 2 or 3 years in your home before they go to school, and they go to college, you show them what an amazing relationship is. You show them what love is between a man and a woman. A family. It might be a blended family, you know. You might not be their biological father, a biological mother, but you're still family. Bonus mom, bonus dad. And then, you know, sometimes you find somebody who's been in an abusive relationship. Whether it's been physical or mental. How do you get the child on your side? How do you get the mother or father to understand you're not that particular person? Listen, Jesus Christ walked this world. Okay? He believed in love and forgiveness. You're starting over with a clean slate. You're not coming in there saying, I'm going to show you everything. I'm your new dad. I'm going to be the one that doesn't do this, this, and this. That's not what you're looking for. You want to set examples, good examples. You know? Okay, here's a scenario that you have to think about. Look, when your kids are sitting there, they do the homework after school. You know, they work on certain things. They work on the computer. They get a routine going on. You might not have somebody to do that routine. That's all explained. Hey, this is, you know, how my kids have had success. Explain it. How have you had success in your schoolwork? Because if they're not doing what your kids are doing, or if your kids aren't doing what your significant other's kids are doing, that means they're not doing well in school. Right? Think about it. Well, how are you getting all A's? I'm not. So you say, why not? I don't know. Do you study? Sometimes. And then the mother goes, no. Well, that's where the problem lies. Good study habits help. Listen, I'm an ex-college professor. Okay? My study habits were developed a long, long time ago. Because I was lucky I had incredible parents that kind of helps. Although, my parents, when I went to school, were like, oh, it's the 666 plan. I'm like, the 666 plan? What's that? I thought they were starting to throw devil worship at me. No, it was 6 days a week, 6 hours a day for 6 weeks. If you did that every semester when you went into college, you were rocking it. Remember when I first went to school and I'm like, wait a minute here. Let me try this plan. 6 hours a day. Well, I got football. I've got girls. I've got beer. I don't think there's enough hours of the day for that. 6 days a week? Let's see. Football games on Saturday. Sunday. I don't think I feel like studying for 6 hours. But then, wait a minute. If I get the game day off, that means I got to study the other day 6 days. For 6 weeks straight, I don't want to teach the class. I just want to pass the class. But I was so competitive. It was easy. Everybody's like, oh, how is it easy? Well, you know what? I got up early in the morning. I did 2 hours of breakfast. I did 2 hours around lunchtime before football practice. And then we had study hall. So what's the definition of study hall? That means study school. Right? Doesn't that make sense? And he just got into a situation where he just learned. Then he became a smart guy. So how do you teach that to your kids? Okay, you get them early. But if you're in a blended family, you might not have got the kids early. So that's where you're like, uh-oh, how do I get into this? Do you understand what I'm saying? You've got, it's an example of something where patience is going to have to be there. But everything's going to be a teaching aspect. You don't want to go up there and be a hard ass. I've never had to yell at my kids once in my life. Why? Because you set expectations. You don't go in there, well, in this family you do this, in this family you do that. Okay, so you want to change a child. Say the oldest child's 10. Say you have she, just an example, has a 10, 8, and 6-year-old. Okay, so for 10 years that child's done it his way or his mother's way. What makes their way the wrong way? Well, their grades aren't up to par. Okay, well, something's got to be there. You can't say, well, this is the way you have to do it. No. You start off with, this is just an example. This is just not take this to Lord. You start off with, look, how about trying it this way? See if it works. One of the easiest teaching scenarios is sitting down with a child and help them. Okay, do you have some trouble with math? I can help you with the math. You have some trouble with science? Gee, I can help you with the science. It's being that person, being there for that person, establishing yourself. If they're like in sports, I'm lucky I was a great athlete at school, in college, and after. So how does that help me? Well, it kind of helps. I'm still a good athlete. So being a good athlete allows you to move forward, right? And how does it allow you to move forward? Well, if they like sports, you're just part of it. You're part of the situation. Part of the solution. And that's some of the things that you have to move ahead with. It's a give and take situation. You can't get into a relationship or start a blended family and then all of a sudden take the kids out of the equation. Oh, I just want to be with your mother. Or your mother and I have things to do. We're going to go X, Y, and Z. I wouldn't do that with my own kids. Why would I do it with her kids? Sure, there's going to be times when you want to have adult time and, I'm a firm believer that if you're married or you're with somebody, you should have a child together. You should try to blend that family with one, with always having a child. Why? Think of the Spirit. Think of love. Think of Galatians 5:22. And bring that to a situation where you're at the point that it makes sense. Right? Those are certain things that we could talk about that another time. But I'm a firm believer. I'd love to have more kids. Absolutely, positively, 1,000%. I'd have 50 kids if I could. Well, if you're 50 kids, you gotta get ready to work hard. Get those books written. Because you know what 50 kids mean? 1/50th for everything. Today's society is so worried about the next big thing. How about stopping? One of the things that you say, well, stop and smell the roses. Stop and smell the coffee. How about stop and smell what's in the kitchen? What do I mean by that? There's not a better time that you can have with children by making supper every night. I love to cook. Believe me, I love to cook. 4 ovens in the kitchen. I love to cook. That makes sense, right? So what does exactly that mean? You sit down, you cook together. You get ready for a football game on Sunday. You make all the good stuff. Right? Hey, we're making chicken wings for the game. We're not at the game. It's a road game. You get all that together. What do you guys want to eat? Everybody throw on the jerseys. Get ready for the game. Get excited about it. There's so many different ways to share things. It doesn't have to be a takeover. Include everybody. That's what you do. That's what families do. Like I said, you can create a family. You can be family to your new wife or new husband's family. But you don't have to be their father. You're a bonus dad. You don't have to just be a friend. Be their family. Be somebody where, it's a bonus. They have another person they can talk to and bounce things off of. Don't get into a relationship with somebody who has kids if you're not willing to do the sacrifices or put into the work. Because that doesn't make any sense. And like I said, you could be in a blended family where they don't have a parental individual. Okay? You're not their father from day one. But from day one, when you become that blended family, you're their family, it takes a lot of work. It takes trust. Well, how do you gain that trust? Well, it's not easy, but it's very doable. Think about it. Play a video game. Not every child is going to want to do what you think. Not every child is going to sit there and say, hey, let's go play catch. What if the child likes video games? I am absolutely horrific at video games. Yes, I can make the video game like in 5 seconds. I can download it, I can code it, I can do all that kind of good stuff. Doesn't mean I'm good at playing it. Do I have good hand-eye coordination? Yeah. Did I like video games as a kid? Heck no. That's the last thing I wanted to do. I wanted to have a ball in my hand, a bat in my hand. I wanted to hit people, meaning playing football and all that kind of good stuff, not like hit people. I'm not a bully. Just have a great time. I don't want to play video games. When I were kids, video games were for when it was raining. And even then, half the time we're playing football out in the rain. Maybe when there was a blizzard. And you couldn't, literally see because the wind was so bad. That's when you played video games. I remember getting video games as a kid that were still in a package. And people would come over the house saying, oh, you have this game? I'm like, yeah. You want to play? Sure. Okay, how do you play? How do you not know how to play this game? Well, how would I know how to play a game if you never play it? Right? You have it. All right, then you may play it for a day and you may like it. That's it. It's boring. What if I get into games as a kid? Pac-Man, I always sucked at that until I studied the pattern. I learned that. And I was like, oh, I'm good at this. Like, how are you good at this? I was like, well, I know the pattern of the game. I don't know. I played, let's see. It was this, Olympics game, I remember. Sorry. Again, if this is the first podcast, I go off on my tangents. So this is one of those tangents. You start thinking about it. With the old video games. Like in college, we used to play Tecmo Bowl 2. And some of you guys listen to know, right? Ray Childress, the Houston Oilers used to go left up, sack the quarterback. Just remember, Bo Jackson was a beast in that game. A beast. Patriots were terrible, so I didn't ever use them. But anyway, that's one game I played in college. Tecmo Bowl. I remember my roommates used to wake me up in the middle of the night. All right, you're up. It's your season. Yeah, I'm coming. That was great. But we never played video games. Really. All right, so you pick up a video game. You're going to have to teach me how to play it. That's so complicated nowadays. I have never seen this Resident Evil and all that kind of stuff, but I know my fact that a 12 and 11-year-old should be watching Resident Evil. Do I think, having kids learn that stuff is a good idea? Listen, that's for another podcast another day. That could be one that's coming up soon. No. But learn what they like. Let it beat you. That'd be great. I remember playing that Tiger Woods golf or that Guitar Hero. I can play the guitar, so I was pretty good at the Guitar Hero. But other than that, it's just having some fun. And that's what it's all about. Not fun, it's being a family. A blended family, but a family no less. You're not going in there to take over the learning process. You're not going in there to say you know everything and nobody else does. What you're doing is you're becoming a family. And there's many ways to be a family. But it takes work. But you know what? If you're honest and open and you tend a child, listen, I'm there for you. They know. They'll learn. Right? Don't make promises you can't keep. Don't write checks you can't cash. Don't go overboard. But I'll tell you one thing you gotta do. A family's a family, and you treat family the same. Always and forever. It's one thing you have to do. Everybody will get it. Everybody will have a good time. Just be there. Be there with a smile on. You can be so madly in love with a woman and say, well, I just want her. You know what? You're not madly in love with that woman. That's just showing you're selfish. You gotta be madly in love with your family. You know what it is like when you start a relationship? All you want to do is talk to that person. When you're alone, when you're having alone time with that person, it's all start off and you're together. And you get married and you start that family. All you want to do is just lose yourself in that person. Forget about the family. Listen, there's going to be plenty of time to be with that person in your life. You sleep in the same bed. Okay? There's plenty of opportunities to speak. You do things together. But that's not creating a family. Everybody wants a family. At least I know I do. I love being there and discussing certain things. That's something I think is the most important thing in this world. But you have to decide for yourself. How do I get that family? Just let me recap. Just be yourself. Don't come in thinking you know it all. Start off with suggestions. Try it this way. Try it that way. It might take you 100,000 suggestions. But you know what? If it does, it does. It'll work out in the end. Patience and time. The old Tom Petty Traveling Wilbury song. It's going to take time. Right? A whole lot of precious time. But at the end of the day, you're going to have plenty of money. Or equate it to there's going to be plenty of love. Because you know what? No matter what, your children are going to have children. You're going to have grandchildren. Grandchildren are going to have children. If you're lucky enough to be there. It's going to be a situation where you're going to be in each other's lives, in each other's families. Enjoy it. It's part of the bonus. You know? And if you do have a child together, well, that's just another added bonus. That just blends the family even more. But you have to be somebody willing to do the most important thing in a blended family. Patience. It just takes patience. It's not always going to happen overnight. You can't force the issue. You can't put the square peg in the round hole. You're just going to have patience. And once you do, that patience will show things. Well, I'm out of time. I didn't realize that was quick. And I hope that I gave you some things to think about. Of course, you can always email me at Calan, Calan Hunter. Or actually, it's Calan at calanhunter.com. Or you can go to my website, calanhunter.com. This is all posted anywhere. But you could always drop me a line, and I would love to talk, and I'd love to discuss some of these things. Please spread the podcast. But as always, at the end of the day, I just want to tell you that one of the most important things in the world, to me, is helping our veterans. So this weekend, I'll be working, trying to help raise money for veterans. And you know where to go to, protectourveterans.org. Go to protectourveterans.org and donate today. Because veterans need our help. And we need to be there for them. Because we're sitting right now on a Friday night knowing full well the reason why we're safe. Because the veteran wasn't at one time or another. Thanks so much. We'll do another podcast over the weekend, and we're going to get ready to do the live podcast with the camera and all the good stuff. And our next podcast, hopefully we have somebody to interview, and I think that will go great. So for myself and my crew here in the studio, I thank you and have a great Friday night. Take care of yourself.